Long before written history, before kings, before empires, before memory itself, the world existed in a fragile balance between heaven and earth. Humanity was young, not weak, but untested, living close to the soil, close to the stars, unaware that something vast was watching from above. In those days, the heavens were not distant. They were near. And from the highest realms, God appointed guardians to watch over the earth. 200 beings of light, ancient, powerful, eternal. They were known as the Watchers, the sons of heaven. Their purpose was clear. They were to observe mankind, protect them from unseen dangers, guide them silently, but never interfere, never alter the natural course of human destiny. They were sent not as rulers, but as witnesses. And so the sky opened. Clouds parted like curtains, and the Watchers descended through light and wind. At their head stood Semjaza, a leader shaped by discipline and restraint. He carried the weight of responsibility with quiet resolve. Beside him was Azazel, different, restless. His mind burned with questions even heaven could not answer. They descended upon Mount Hermon, a place chosen for its height, close enough to see mankind clearly, yet distant enough to remain untouched. From there, they watched. They watched humans discover fire. They watched the first homes built from stone and wood. They watched families gather beneath the night sky, telling stories they barely understood themselves. And slowly, something changed. At first, it was only curiosity. The Watchers marveled at how fragile humans were, and yet how fiercely they lived. Humans felt fear. They felt joy. They loved, knowing love would one day be lost. Semjaza observed in silence, but Azazel spoke what many secretly felt. They feel more in one lifetime, he said, than we feel in eternity. Time passed. Curiosity turned into fascination. Fascination into longing. The daughters of men drew water from rivers, their laughter echoing through valleys. They lived freely, bound by no eternal law, no endless obedience. And for the first time since their creation, the Watchers felt desire. Semjaza resisted longer than most. He reminded himself of the command, of the boundary that could never be crossed. But heaven was silent. No warning, no reminder, only wind. And silence, to a questioning mind, can feel like permission. Finally, Semjaza spoke. "Is it truly forbidden," he asked, "to walk among those we were sent to protect?" Some hesitated. Others looked away. Azazel stepped forward. "If one of us falls," he said, "we all fall. Let none of us stand alone in judgment." An oath was sworn beneath the stars. And with that vow, the fate of the world changed. The Watchers descended again, but this time, not as observers. To humanity they appeared as radiant beings, tall, powerful, unmistakably otherworldly. The daughters of men were afraid, and yet drawn to them. Heaven touched flesh, and from that union came beings never meant to exist. The Nephilim, giants of strength and appetite. Their minds the hunger of earth. At first, they ruled as protectors, then as kings, then as gods. Men bowed. Cities were built in their honor. But hunger grew. They consumed harvests meant for thousands. They slaughtered animals without restraint. And when the land could no longer feed them, they turned on mankind. Villages disappeared overnight. Children learned fear before language. The ground was stained with blood so often, it no longer absorbed it. Semjaza watched the destruction unfold. This is not what we intended. But Azazel saw opportunity. Knowledge changes the world, he replied. And the world must change. He taught men to pull metal from the earth, to shape iron, to create weapons sharper than stone.
Azazel whispered, "Vows to no god." War replaced worship. He taught women the power of illusion. Ornaments, pigments, mirrors. Beauty became a tool, not an expression. Other watchers followed. They revealed secrets hidden in creation. The movements of the stars. The language of spirits. The power of roots and blood. Humanity advanced rapidly, but unevenly. Wisdom could not keep pace with knowledge. Cities rose, kingdoms formed, and war became constant. The Nephilim led armies. Men followed. Began to reject them. Seasons broke their patterns. Animals fled familiar lands. The sky darkened without warning. Above it all, heaven watched. Michael spoke with urgency. The earth is crying out. Gabriel warned of total collapse. Raphael felt corruption even in the wind. And finally, God heard. A judgment formed, not sudden but absolute. The watchers sensed it. For the first time, they felt fear. They turned to Enoch, a man who still walked in harmony with God. They begged him to intercede. When Enoch returned from the heavens, his face carried no hope. Judgment was sealed. The Nephilim would destroy one another. The watchers would be bound beneath the earth, and the world would be cleansed. The archangels descended like storms. Azazel was bound and cast into darkness. The Nephilim turned on each other in madness. Semgaza and the watchers were chained beneath the mountains. And then, the rain began, not as mercy, but as erasure. Rivers overflowed. Seas consumed land. Mountains vanished beneath water. Giants drowned. Kings drowned. The proud and the innocent alike. When the waters receded, the world were silent, clean, but scarred. Deep beneath the earth, the watchers still wait, bound, remembering, and their story survives only in fragments. Myths, forbidden texts, whispered legends. A reminder that knowledge without wisdom destroys, that power without restraint corrupts, and that even beings of light can fall. If this story made you question what you think you know about history, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay curious, because the truth of our past may be far stranger than we were ever told. And even now, beneath mountains and deserts, something waits, bound, remembering, not to guide, but to remember, because the greatest danger humanity ever faced did not come from monsters. It came from gifts, given too soon.